10 years, $3 billion. Like, are you kidding me? That's what it takes to bring a new drug to market. It's a process so complex, it makes climbing Mount Everest look like a walk in the park.
Yeah, no kidding.
But what if there was a way to change that? In this deep dive, we're going to explore RegKey.ai, an AI-powered platform that says it can cut through all the regulatory stuff of drug development. We've got their proposal right here, ready to unpack the problem, their solution, the tech behind it, and if it can really work in the real world.
I'm ready.
Are you ready to see if this could change medicine as we know it?
Definitely. Let's dive in. It's certainly a problem worth taking a look at.
Okay, perfect. So let's just start with the elephant in the room, Why is drug development such a long and expensive process?
Right.
I mean, we're talking timelines that span, entire presidencies. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's not just one thing. It's a confluence of factors.
Yeah.
You've got a constantly evolving regulatory landscape globally. Just the FDA website alone, has over 3,000 documents detailing regulations and guidelines.
3,000? That's going to be a lot of reading.
It is,
Okay.
and it's not static information.
Oh.
Updates are constant. The language is incredibly dense, and everything's cross-referenced. Imagine piecing together a giant, complex puzzle where the pieces just keep changing shape.
Oh, geez.
That's what regulatory teams are up against.
Okay, so I'm starting to understand why things move so slowly. But what are the specific, bottlenecks that this RegKey.ai is actually targeting? What are they going after?
Well, one of the biggest pain points is just finding the right information within this mountain of data. Extracting what's relevant for a specific drug, indication or region, can take weeks, even for experienced professionals. Then there's the challenge of coordinating across teams, often globally, drafting these complex documents and ensuring everything adheres to, constantly shifting regulations. It's a recipe for delays and skyrocketing costs.
So they're spending years just trying to understand the rules of the game before they can even play the game.
You got it. Yeah, it's not far off. And that's where RegKey.ai comes in, promising to be the ultimate cheat sheet.
Okay, now I'm intrigued. Tell me more. How do they propose to, simplify this web?
Yeah, so they're aiming to bring all of that fragmented regulatory information into a single AI-powered platform.
Okay.
Instead of sifting through, thousands of documents, imagine having a single searchable interface that understands natural language.
So you could just ask it a question like, what are the labeling requirements for a new oncology drug in Japan? Like that.
Exactly. And it wouldn't just point you to a 500-page document. It would give you a concise, curated answer, pulling from its vast knowledge base of regulations and guidelines.
Wow, that would be a game changer. That sounds almost too good to be true. What else does this platform claim to do? What else can it do?
It goes beyond just answering questions. It can actually help you draft documents, like submissions and reports, ensuring they're compliant with the latest regulations.
Wow.
And to stay ahead of the curve, it provides personalized news streams, tailored to your specific needs, highlighting any relevant regulatory changes as they happen.
So you're not just reacting to changes, you're kind of getting ahead of it.
That's the goal, yep. They want to move from a reactive, compliance-driven approach to a more proactive, strategic one.
Yeah.
And by doing so, they believe they can significantly reduce development timelines and costs.
Okay, so I can see how this would be incredibly valuable for pharmaceutical companies. But let's talk about the technology for a second. What kind of, AI magic is making all of this possible? What's going on behind the scenes?
So at its core, RegKey.ai leverages a combination of natural language processing and machine learning.
Okay.
Natural language processing allows it to understand and interpret, complex legal language, while machine learning enables it to learn from vast data sets of regulatory information and just continuously improve its accuracy and insights.
So it's not just a static database, it's constantly evolving, getting smarter.
That's right.
No.
They're building what they call a continuous learning system.
Oh, cool.
As new regulations are published, as legal precedents are set, the platform ingests that information and just refines its understanding of the regulatory landscape.
That's incredible. So it's almost like having a team of regulatory experts working for you 24/7, constantly.
They're trying to get as close to that as possible.
Oh.
And to make sure the AI is aligned with like real-world regulatory practices. They have an advisory board of over 40 experts from various fields, including former FDA officials.
So they're not just relying on algorithms. They've got some actual human expertise in the loop. That's reassuring.
Absolutely. They recognize that AI is a tool, not a replacement for human judgment.
This all sounds incredibly promising, but building a system like this has got to be incredibly challenging. I mean, what are some of the technical hurdles they actually have to overcome? What are they dealing with?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is ensuring the platform can handle the sheer volume and complexity of regulatory information.
Right.
We're talking about millions of data points, often presented in unstructured formats like PDFs and legal documents.
Oh, PDF.
Extracting the right information and organizing it in a way that the AI can understand is it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah. It sounds like they're trying to teach a computer to read and understand legalese, which would be a language unto itself.
Yeah, it's not easy. And it's not just about understanding the words. It's about understanding the context, the nuances, the implicit relationships between different regulations.
Right.
That's where the machine learning aspect comes in. They're training their algorithms on massive data sets of legal documents, teaching them to recognize patterns and make connections that a human might miss.
So it's not just about finding the needle in the haystack. It's about understanding the haystack itself.
Exactly. And they're not just dumping data into the system, they're meticulously curating and validating their data sets, ensuring that the information that the AI is learning from is accurate and representative of the real world.
That makes sense. Data quality is everything when it comes to AI.
Right.
But even with the best data, there are still limitations to, what AI can do.
Sure.
What are some of the potential drawbacks or limitations of RegKey.ai? Like, what could go wrong?
Well, one potential limitation is the adaptability to rapidly changing regulations.
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical industry is subject to constant updates and amendments, and the platform needs to be able to keep pace.
So how do they plan to ensure that the AI doesn't just become outdated as soon as some new regulation is released?
They've built in a system for continuous updates and learning.
Okay.
They're constantly monitoring regulatory sources, ingesting new information, and retraining their algorithms to adapt to, the evolving landscape.
So it's like a living system, always learning, always evolving.
That's right. Yep. It's designed to stay ahead of the curve, anticipating changes, and providing users with the most up-to-date information possible.
Okay. That's pretty impressive. But even with all that, there's always the possibility of the unexpected.
Right.
What are some of the potential challenges they might face that they haven't anticipated? Like what could trip them up?
Well, one challenge could be user adoption. Even with the best technology, there can be resistance to change, especially in a field as complex and regulated as pharmaceuticals.
Right. People can be kind of hesitant to trust a computer with such important decisions. How are they planning to kind of address that?
They're focusing on building trust through transparency.
Okay.
They're making the AI's reasoning as clear and understandable as possible so users can actually see, how it arrived at its conclusions. They're also emphasizing the human element, showcasing the expertise of their advisory board, highlighting the collaborative nature of the platform.
So it's not about replacing humans. It's about kind of, augmenting their capability.
Exactly. It's about giving regulatory professionals the tools they need to do their jobs more efficiently and effectively.
Okay. This is all fascinating, but I'm curious about the people behind this technology. Like, who are the brains behind RegKey.ai?
That's a great question. The team is led by Dr. Aruna Dantalpaktuni, the CEO.
Okay.
She has over 30 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry and has personally overseen the approval of over 100 drugs.
Wow. Over 100 drug approvals. That's an incredible track record.
It is, yeah. She knows this world inside and out. Then there's Dr. Somdip Data, the CTO. He comes from a financial technology background and has deep expertise in AI and machine learning. He previously led technology initiatives at Goldman Sachs, so he knows how to build and scale complex systems.
So they've got the regulatory expertise, they've got the technical chops. What about the operations side of things?
That's where Bhaskar Gandavabi, the COO, comes in.
Okay.
He has a long history in technology and operations, with a particular focus on AI, cloud solutions, and enterprise architecture. He's held senior roles at companies like AIG, Merrill Lynch, and SiriusXM, so he knows how to manage, large-scale complex projects.
So they've assembled a Pretty impressive team.
Yeah.
They seem to have all the right ingredients for success, but what are the chances they can actually pull this off?
That's what we'll explore next. We'll dive into the market landscape, the competitive pressures, and the potential challenges to adoption. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into RegKey.ai.
Mm.
Before we, moved on, we were just getting to know the team behind this ambitious project. Talk about a regulatory dream team.
Yeah, they certainly bring a wealth of experience to the table. But, expertise alone doesn't guarantee success.
Right.
Let's kind of delve into the market they're stepping into. Is there really room for a newcomer to make a splash?
Okay, so paint the picture for me. What's the lay of the land in the, the regulatory compliance market?
Well, you're looking at a global market valued at, almost $9 billion, and it's projected to grow, significantly in the coming years. This isn't some niche sector. The need for efficient regulatory solutions is huge, and it's only getting bigger.
$9 billion. That's
Yeah.
a pretty tempting pie. But I imagine it's not just RegKey.ai, vying for a slice. Who else is in this arena? Who are they up against?
You've got established players like Dr. Evidence and Elsevier, both offering a range of tools for, navigating regulatory information. And then there are newer entrants, like Nyquist AI, all trying to leverage AI to streamline the process.
So it's a competitive landscape.
It is.
What makes RegKey.ai think they can kind of carve out a space for themselves? What's their secret sauce? What are they doing?
Yeah, so their strategy really hinges on two key differentiators.
Okay.
First, they're really emphasizing the depth and quality of their AI-powered insights.
Okay.
It's not just about retrieving information. It's about analyzing it, contextualizing it, and providing, actionable recommendations.
So more than just a glorified search engine.
Oh, yeah.
They're aiming for a true regulatory advisor.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. Their second differentiator is a commitment to real-time intelligence.
Sure.
Regulations are constantly changing, and they're building a system that can adapt and update its knowledge base on the fly.
Okay, so they're aiming for a platform that's both, intelligent and agile, but even with those, advantages, there's always the challenge of convincing people to actually adopt new technology.
Sure.
How are they planning to overcome that hurdle?
Yeah, they're not just throwing technology over the wall and hoping for the best. Their approach is very much partnership-driven.
Okay.
They're offering customized onboarding, helping companies integrate RegKey.ai seamlessly into their existing workflows.
So hand-holding instead of a hard sell.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's not just about making the transition, smooth. It's also about building trust. They're investing heavily in user-friendly design, making the platform intuitive and accessible, even for those who aren't tech-savvy.
So it sounds like they're really thinking about the user experience,
They are.
which is often the key to successful adoption.
Yeah.
But even if they can convince companies to, give it a try, there's always the question of, can it really deliver on its promises? What are some of the biggest challenges they might face?
One critical factor will be their ability to attract and retain, top talent.
Right.
Building and maintaining a system this complex requires a team with deep expertise in both, AI and regulatory affairs.
Right. So they need to keep those, brainy folks happy and engaged.
Exactly. Yeah.
What else?
Data security is paramount.
Right.
They're dealing with highly sensitive information, and any breaches, could be devastating both for the company and for their clients.
Yeah, that's a big one. They're going to be under a microscope when it comes to data protection.
Right.
What are they doing to address that?
Well, they're building the platform on a secure cloud infrastructure with robust encryption and access controls. They're also committed to complying with all relevant data privacy regulations like GDPR and HIPAA.
Okay, so they're taking the necessary steps to protect that sensitive data.
Yeah.
What other potential roadblocks do you foresee?
Another challenge will be managing expectations. There's a lot of hype around AI right now, and it's important to remember that it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
RegKey.ai can't solve every problem in the regulatory process overnight.
So they need to be kind of realistic about what they can achieve and manage those expectations carefully.
Absolutely, yeah. Overpromising and under-delivering, could damage their credibility and hinder their long-term success.
Okay, so we've talked about the market opportunity, the competition, and the potential challenges. But let's zoom out a little bit. If RegKey.ai is successful, what kind of impact could it have on, the pharmaceutical industry as a whole?
Well, I think the most obvious impact would be a significant reduction in, drug development timelines and costs.
Okay.
This could mean that new treatments, particularly for, life-threatening diseases, reach patients much faster and at a lower price point.
So potentially a win-win for both patients and pharmaceutical companies.
That's the hope. It could also lead to a more efficient and transparent regulatory process, reducing the administrative burden on both companies and regulatory
And
agencies.
that could free up resources to focus on what really matters, developing, safe and effective treatments.
Exactly. But the impact could go beyond just the pharmaceutical industry.
Really?
The technology they're developing could be applied to other highly regulated sectors like finance, energy, and even government.
So it could potentially like revolutionize how we navigate, complex regulations across various industries.
It's certainly possible. Of course, it's still too early to say with certainty what the long-term impact will be. But the potential is certainly there for RegKey.ai to be a disruptive force for positive change.
This is all incredibly exciting. But let's bring it back down to earth for a minute. Are there any potential downsides to a future where AI like plays such a prominent role in drug development?
Well, one concern is the potential for, job displacement.
Right.
If AI can automate many of the tasks currently performed by, regulatory professionals, what happens to those jobs?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. Automation is a double-edged sword, with the potential to create new opportunities while also displacing existing jobs.
It's a complex issue, and it's one that the industry will need to grapple with as, AI becomes more prevalent.
Right. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about like the social and economic implications as well.
Yeah.
What else should we be kind of mindful of as this technology evolves?
Another important consideration is the potential for bias in AI algorithms.
Right.
If the data used to train the AI is biased, the AI's output will be biased as well.
So if the AI is trained on data that like reflects existing, inequalities in healthcare, for example, it could perpetuate those inequalities.
Exactly. Yeah. It's crucial to ensure that the data used to train these algorithms is diverse, representative, and free from bias.
That's a great point. It highlights the importance of like responsible AI development. We can't just focus on like the technical capabilities. We need to think about the ethical implications as well. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. For now, let's wrap up this deep dive with a look at what we've learned about RegKey.ai and what the future might hold for this ambitious project. We're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into RegKey.ai. It's been a fascinating journey, really, through this whole world of pharmaceutical regulations
It has.
and the potential of AI to kind of untangle it all.
Yeah. We've explored the problem, we've talked about solutions and, the potential roadblocks along the way. Now let's distill all that down, I guess, to the key takeaways for our listener.
All right, so if you could boil it down to the most important points, what would you highlight? What do you really want our listener to walk away, understanding about RegKey.ai?
First and foremost, I think it's crucial to recognize the sheer audacity of what they're attempting. They're taking on a problem that has plagued the pharmaceutical industry for decades, a problem so complex that it's become a barrier to innovation and, access to these life-saving treatments.
It's almost like they're trying to slay a regulatory dragon.
In a way, they are. And their weapon of choice is AI, but not just any AI. They're building a system that's specifically designed to understand and navigate the intricate world of pharmaceutical regulations.
So it's not just about crunching numbers or automating tasks. It's about replicating the expertise of, seasoned regulatory professionals.
That's a key point, yeah. They're not trying to replace human expertise, they're trying to augment it. They want to give regulatory teams the tools they need to make faster, more informed decisions and, ultimately bring new treatments to patients more efficiently.
And they're doing that through a combination of natural language processing, machine learning, and a healthy dose of, I guess, human oversight from their expert advisory board.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted approach, and it's what sets them apart from, many of their competitors who are focusing on more narrow applications of AI in the regulatory space.
And we've talked about the potential benefits, but we've also highlighted some of the challenges. Data accuracy, user adoption, managing expectations, these are all hurdles they'll need to clear.
They are. And we've discussed those in detail. But I think it's important to note that they're not approaching these challenges naively. They seem to have a realistic understanding of the complexities involved and a well thought out plan for addressing them.
They've assembled a strong team, they've done their homework, and they seem, committed to building a platform that's not just technically sophisticated, but also user-friendly and ethically sound.
And that's critical. As we discussed earlier, the potential impact of this technology goes far beyond just speeding up drug development. If they're successful, they could change the way we think about regulations across a wide range of industries.
It's an exciting prospect, but it also comes with a responsibility to ensure that this technology is developed and deployed in a way that, benefits society as a whole.
Absolutely. We need to be mindful of the potential downsides, the potential for job displacement, the potential for bias. These are conversations we need to be having as AI becomes more integrated into our lives.
And those are conversations we'll continue to have here on The Deep Dive. But for now, let's shift gears and leave our listener with a final, thought-provoking question.
A question that kind of lingers even after we've finished unpacking all the data and analysis. I like it. What do you have in mind?
What if RegKey.ai succeeds beyond their wildest dreams? What if they actually manage to crack the code of pharmaceutical regulation, making the process, faster, cheaper, more efficient? What would that mean for the future of healthcare?
It's a fascinating question to ponder. Would we see a surge in medical innovation? With new treatments for diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, reaching patients years earlier than they do now?
Would we see a shift in, the pharmaceutical industry's priorities, from maximizing profits to focusing on, delivering truly life-changing therapies?
And what about the broader societal implications? Would this lead to a more equitable healthcare system where, access to life-saving treatments is no longer determined by wealth or geography?
These are all big questions. They don't have easy answers, but they're questions worth asking as we navigate this new era of AI-driven innovation.
It's a future full of possibilities, both exciting and, maybe a little daunting. And it's a future that, we're all shaping, whether we realize it or not.
So we encourage our listener to stay curious, to stay informed, and to be part of the conversation. This deep dive is just the beginning.
The journey continues.
And we'll be here to explore it with you every step of the way. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.